Hey, I'm here with Miss Judy Sides at Smyrna West Alternative School. Miss Sides, tell us a little bit about your background, and I also wanted to hear gave a great speech at our Rotary Club at Smyrna a few weeks ago, and I wanted to get you on camera back then, but I was with somebody you'd already left. So tell us a little about your background, and you're going to be retiring on the 6th, right?
Mm-hmm.
January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I have I guess, a unique background. I grew up in Rockville, Tennessee. I lived next door to a family of teachers, the Tuckers, and always had that. Was always interested in that, but I was also a singer and a musician. So when I had an opportunity, I went to work for John Conley, country music entertainer, and worked for him about 10 years. And
Yeah.
sang on his albums, played rhythm guitar, sang background vocals. Actually had two or three releases myself on Warner Brothers Records. But met my husband while working for John. He worked for John as well. But there comes a time when you need to settle down, and we did. Went back to Murfreesboro, and I went back into education, and so that's what I've been doing for the last 32 years. I was at Oakland High School in the classroom for 17 years, and then I went to Riverdale High School, which was my alma mater, and
Okay.
went there as assistant principal. And then I've been here 6.5 years at Smyrna West.
Yes. Now, I like something you mentioned. You said you kind of found your niche here.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Well, when I was in education, whether I was in the classroom or I was an assistant principal, I dealt with students that needed a little extra help somewhere down the line. They were needed encouragement. They needed somebody to care. They maybe had made a mistake.
Hmm.
Those were the students that I seemed to be drawn to. And so when I came here, I never envisioned myself being a principal at an alternative school. But when you get somewhere and you know it's really right, it just feels right. And that's
Yes.
that's what this has always felt like, is that it was right.
Yes, ma'am. Well, one of the reasons I care about these issues, as a conservative, I've watched our state prison budget go from 600 million to 1.2 billion dollars. It's doubled in the roughly 11 years since I've been in office, 12 years since I've been in office. And I often say I don't see anyone trying to control costs, trying to really reach these folks before they commit crimes. Um, I know you've got some good students here that have, just like you said, made mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen elected officials make mistakes. I've seen lawmakers make mistakes, and sadly, many of those mistakes may stay with people for many years. You mentioned Rotary, and you compliment a lot of folks. Can you make some comments about Rotary and why that matters to
Sure.
you?
When I came here, I was told about the relationship between Smyrna West and the Smyrna Rotary Club, and basically they operate as our PTO because we don't
Yes,
have
ma'am.
a PTO here. And so they make a donation each year, and with that donation, we're able to do a lot of things for our students and our faculty that we might not be able to do. One of the greatest things that the Rotary Club has been involved in since I've been here is job shadowing. So every February, our seniors go and job shadow with Rotarians, and it's just a great opportunity. It's like I said at Rotary, it gives the students a chance to get out and see real world, but it also gives people a chance to see that our students are good people,
Yes.
and they can work and they are very talented. We find lots of talents here at Smyrna West that get missed at the larger schools.
Yes.
We have artists here, we have musicians here, just all kinds of things.
Yes.
But the Rotary Club is very instrumental to the success of Smyrna West.
Recently we had Chairman of Education Mark White drove all the way up from Memphis. Dr. Sullivan came
Mm-hmm.
in. The Chairman of Education Tammy Sharp, Francis Rosales, and some other school board members attended. And I asked some of the students at the last class back there, I said, how are things doing, or how are you improving? And they mentioned the smaller class size.
Mm-hmm.
Why would that matter, where they could thrive in that type of environment with a smaller class size?
Well, the main thing that we find here is a lot of times our students are not self advocates. in the larger environment. If they don't understand something, they're a little embarrassed maybe to raise their hand in a class of 30 or 35 students. They get here, we try to keep our classes about 10 or 12 students, and we teach them to self-advocate. We really teach them there's no stupid question except the one that's not asked.
Yes, ma'am.
And so they really, their academics improve while they're here, and mainly it's because they feel very comfortable with our teachers, and our teachers have more option for one-on-one time with the students. But yeah, they enjoy. If you ask them what do they like about Smyrna West, that's what they'll tell you: the small environment and the small classes. Now, if you ask them what they don't like about Smyrna West, they'll tell you the uniform and the silence.
Yeah, really. Well, the uniform that's been a good thing, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I thought it has. How come that would matter?
Because it's sort of based upon the military, where everybody looks the same and they set themselves apart not with what they wear or that kind of thing. They set themselves apart by their behavior and their academics, and it just works.
Yeah. Well, I know the community really stands behind this school, and I've got Casey. It's Casey, right?
Yeah.
Casey, how you doing?
Good.
It was just I talk about weird, what I call synchronicities, and we were at Rotary Club earlier, and I lost my mom this week, and you came up and kind of gave your condolences, and you happened to be here this morning.
Yeah.
Tell us what you were doing.
I was here this morning. I actually had a meeting with Miss Judy last week with Alert CDC, seeing how we can bring support to the school. And one of the things we wanted to do for the teachers is to provide lunch for them before they go away for Christmas break, just to let them know how much we appreciate them and excited to start working with Smyrna West and bring some support to these students.
Why would you do such a thing?
Because actually we were having a conversation, my dad and I. My dad is the president over the nonprofit, and he grew up in the inner city, and we oftentimes miss these students, these rising stars, because of certain maybe decisions or the alternative school word, and sometimes we just overlook them, the students who we need to bring more love and support to. So we wanted to make sure that we were a part of making an impact in this community, but the school in general.
Yes, I just thought that was awesome. I know Hope Fellowship, Pastor Kent Singleton, I think Lee Ferris, I think maybe come over, that used to be a teacher here for many years, come over to help y'all last year. I thought that was awesome. Earlier, I was sharing with you on the radio show, I do a radio show called Rutherford Magazine on Sunday night. The movie The Life of a King stars Cuba Gooding Jr., and it's based on a guy's story, Eugene Brown, who went to prison and learned to play chess in there. Then he came out, couldn't get a job, so he ended up getting a job as a janitor and started, I guess, working with some of these inner city kids. And you were telling me you're already kind of doing some of that here.
We did. Prior to COVID, of course, with COVID, a lot of things got stopped or changed. But prior to COVID, we had a very strong program here that taught our children, our students, to play chess. We have two or three teachers that knew how to play. We got boards donated, and we would have certain times of the day that students could go into our library and actually challenge one another. We held a chess tournament one year. But basically what we found is that chess is a game that you have to think ahead. You have to think sometimes 6, 7 moves ahead. And we were able to use that with our students, how that applies to life. And sometimes we have to look down the road, not just what we're involved in now, but where do we want to be in 5 or 6 years. So hopefully we'll be able to, in this next semester, whoever, the new principal here, maybe they'll be able to get back into that and do that chess program again. It was very beneficial, and students loved it because most of them never thought they could learn to play chess because that wasn't in their wheel well of their environment. It just wasn't there, and then they found they could be very, very good chess players. So that was neat.
Well, one area we're having a tough time of retaining and recruiting good teachers. What advice would you give lawmakers like myself and others of what we can do as a better job of trying to get folks into education and retain the teachers that we have?
I think the main thing is to trust the educators. You know, teachers go to school for X number of years, and we learn, and we do this not because we're going to get rich, but
Yeah.
we do this because we believe that we can help these students throughout from K through 12. And I think that I would say trust the educators, ask those in the trenches what's going on and what needs to be done to make things better, because
Yes.
they're the ones that know.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And as I've sat in this chair, and as an assistant principal, the one thing that I've always tried to do is never forget how I felt as a teacher in that classroom. And that's why I always have had an open door policy where people could come in, we could talk about things. We've made changes here based upon what the teachers felt like needed to be changed. So
Yes.
bottom line, just listen to the educators and
Yes.
ask them, and they'll tell you.
Yes. Yes. If you were going to do life all over again, would you still go into education?
Sure.
Good. Why?
Just because it's been a great life. I've had the opportunity to, you know, people say, do something you love and you never work
Yes.
a day in your life. And so that's the way most educators feel. We do this because we love it. And so most days, I don't know very many days that I felt like I was going to work.
Yeah.
And I always was able to say at the end of the day that I had helped someone. It may have
Yes.
just been one child that day, or maybe 2 children a week, but it was always there. So
Yeah.
I have loved my life. I have enjoyed being a musician and having that part. I was able to bring that into my history classes, my sociology classes, those experiences. But I've also enjoyed being a teacher, an educator, raising 2 children in
Yeah.
the Rutherford County system. It's just been a great life.
Did you have any mentors that along the way that stand out to you?
I've had lots of mentors through the years. The principals that I worked for, all of the principals that I worked for, each one of them taught me something about sitting in this chair.
Yes.
And I think that's very important. And because of that, I've tried to be a mentor to other teachers or young teachers, young educators. And
Yes.
hopefully I've been successful in that.
Yes, ma'am. Any final comments?
Well, you know, I'm retiring. It's bittersweet, you know,
Mhm.
because you love what you do, but it's time for the next chapter.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so I'm looking forward to that. I have a granddaughter, and she's in Florida right now, so I'm looking forward to spending more time with her.
Well, thank you so much for your time, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.